Hi guys, I wanted to do another video today about Volkswagen Audi engines, what to look for, potential problems, specifically the cooling system today, but that really this affects everything and you can have some massive problems. I've got this study guide here from Volkswagen Audi Group. It's interesting. For some reason YouTube don't allow me to put live links in the description of videos, but I'll put it in a pinned comment if they allow me to do that. I'm not going to go through this guide blow by blow, you'll be glad to hear, because it's quite long. It's very interesting. What I will do is refer to some of the diagrams and point out some potential failure points and what to look for. If you're buying a car particularly, there are some very easy things to look for. So one other thing to say is if you hear any dogs barking, I've got some dogs with me here today, so apologies in advance for that. So let's get into it. Okay. This is it starts off the preamble, some history about cooling systems generally, how they were devised, blah blah blah. But really what we're interested in, there goes the dog, is this diagram here. Now if you're thinking about buying a Volkswagen or an Audi car and you pop the hood, one of the most important things to look at is the coolant reservoir, the expansion tank. What you're looking for in older Volkswagen cars, I think this guide refers to an ALH engine, APF I believe actually. My car specifically is a Volkswagen Golf Mk4 with a BFQ engine, and this is exactly how my car engine works. And it's the same for many Audis, lots of German cars. In the older ones, you're looking for this to be pure red. It's called G12. The mixture is what the alloy engine is designed to work with. If it looks like strawberry milkshake, walk away from the car immediately. If it's black and dirty, full of oil, walk away from the car immediately, because I'll point out later why this happens. In newer cars, I believe the coolant's purple, it's G13, but I'll stick to the red G12. Okay, why does it go like strawberry milkshake? The gearbox oil, the ATF, automatic transmission fluid, is cooled by the water cooling circuit. It's cooled in a little radiator here. It's made of a light alloy. I'm not exactly sure what construction it is, but it corrodes inside after time, especially if people haven't been using the G12. If, for example, people just use water, tap water, this will corrode inside and the two liquids will mix, and this will create a thick, gloopy strawberry milkshake, and eventually it will cause your automatic gearbox to malfunction. This happened on my car, and I didn't notice this problem with the strawberry milkshake, but one day I put my car into reverse and it took off backwards with no input from me at about 50 miles an hour. It was extremely frightening, and the gearbox valves had just stuck. It malfunctioned, and basically the car was doing whatever it wanted to do, whenever it wanted to do it. Extremely dangerous. The problem was solved by replacing this little radiator which had developed a hole inside, cleaning entirely the cooling circuit, cleaning entirely the ATF fluid, draining it all out, cleaning the filters, cleaning the valve box, and it was a hell of a mess and a hell of a problem. It took a lot of time to do, but that fixed the problem. Okay, why does it go black? This portion here, this is the oil cooler, and in the same way that the ATF is cooled by the engine coolant, the oil is also cooled by the engine coolant. This is at the base of the oil filter. This also corrodes for the same reasons by people using water, hard water particularly, instead of the proper coolant. It corrodes and the oil and the water mix. I haven't had this problem personally, but I know people who have, and it causes equally catastrophic difficulties for the car. It can destroy the car completely. Okay, that's that. The other thing to note here is that most of the fittings and connections in this car, or these cars, are plastic. So if you have even a minor impact, if you run into a bollard while parking or something, or if someone hits you, these can crack. If these plastic fittings crack, your cooling system can no longer hold a vacuum, and under certain circumstances your engine will boil. The coolant will boil off, and it will be a terrible mess. We'll go into that a little bit further later. This thermostat housing is plastic. Here in Cyprus we operate almost for the whole year with the air conditioning running. For reasons that you'll see later, when maximum cooling is selected inside the cabin on the rotary dial, the engine runs at maximum temperature. It selects the temperature of the engine to be 110 degrees. After a period of time, the plastic housing gets very brittle, breaks, you lose all your coolant, therefore your engine cooling. It's a nightmare, an absolute nightmare, and it happens an awful lot. Also, in the engine compartment, underneath the this housing for the thermostat, there is a speed sensor for the gearbox. As the thermostat housing heats up, or particularly if you have any leaks of coolant, the resistance of the wire from the sensor, speed sensor, to the engine management system, the engine control unit, heats up. When the wire gets to a certain temperature, the ECU will get an implausible signal, and your car will drop into what's called limp mode. It will get stuck in third gear, and invariably this happens when you're pulling out into fast moving traffic and you need all the power you can muster. This is extremely dangerous and has happened. There is a TSB, a technical service bulletin, about this problem, which calls for what they call an overlay. For overlay, read rewire. They have to actually route a new cable in a different direction, taking it away from the heat sources so that the conductors don't heat up and cause this problem. This is an absolute nightmare, and I would not be surprised if people haven't been killed because of this issue. It's shocking actually. Okay, the knob inside the cabin for the temperature of the cabin is extremely important for the operation of this system. On maximum cooling in hot countries like Cyprus, where I am, the engine is set to 110 degrees. Obviously water boils at 100 degrees if it's not pressurized. So if you have any leaks in your system, your water will boil. The way around this is to set your temperature sensor somewhere above the maximum cooling. About 70% will do it. Sorry about that, I just had to go calm the dog. Yeah, okay, so the temperature setting knob in the cabin is very, very important. If you're starting to have cooling problems, it's best to put it to maximum heat if you can stand it. This actually reduces the operating temperature of the engine to 85 degrees C, and your cooling components hopefully won't boil. So let's have a look at this. This is actually a diagram of the thermostat housing. You can see how complicated all of this is. This heat exchanger, this is the one for the gearbox, and this is the one for the oil that I was mentioning. Sometimes these break. This is all plastic. This is the ECT, the coolant temperature sender. These fail with monotonous regularity. It's the heart of the system, and this can cause tremendous difficulties. All kinds of strange problems it can cause, as I mentioned in a previous video. Okay, so let's just see if I can find the diagram. You see here this G267, this rotary temperature selection knob. It was a mystery to me. I thought that this magically created a temperature that you wanted in the cabin. It controls everything, essentially, to do with your engine. It's unbelievable. So if this develops a problem, your whole car develops a problem. And as these cars age, of course, more problems occur. Aha, this is what I was looking for. So on maximum cold, on the diagram, on the rotary knob here, you're selecting 110 degrees C. When it's on full hot, it's down to 85. I have to use this at the moment. I can't go below 30% or my coolant will boil, because I have a crack, a hairline crack in my heater matrix. So the cooling system can't pull a vacuum, and if I go for maximum cold, I have big problems. But when AC is selected, I still, with the knob round about this mark, which is where I put it in my car, I still have sufficient cooling to be able to survive in the heat here. Okay, let's go here. These temperature senders are an absolute nightmare. G62 is the ECT, the coolant temperature sender from the thermostat housing, and G83 is the temperature at the output of the radiator. In Volkswagen Audi speak, G is a sensor, N is an actuator. And what happens is, you see here, if the sender fails, The ECU substitutes a value of 95 degrees C. This is to try and prevent your engine from boiling. In my experience, it doesn't work too well. If both G62 and G83 fail, the ECU tries to maintain a constant engine temperature by running both of the fans at maximum speed. The fans. The fans are probably the biggest single problem I have had with Volkswagen Audi vehicles. There are two fans. One is for the air conditioning predominantly, and the other is for the radiator to keep the coolant cool. They run at various speeds, and they are controlled by the fan control unit. I, at a guess, would estimate that somewhere in the region of 75% of the Volkswagen Audi vehicles on the road have faults in either one or both of the fans and or the fan control unit. The fans don't work properly. They're being commanded by the ECU, but they're not working properly because they have big resistors inside, very low resistance resistors. They carry a lot of current, they burn out, and the commands from the ECU can't make the fans function how it wants them to function. Sometimes the fans just fail completely, and there's no indication that this has happened until your engine blows up in traffic or at lights. Absolute nightmare, really. Check your fans. Check your fans. So I've waffled on long enough now, guys. I hope it gives you some kind of indication. One other thing that I would point out that happened to me is if you hear a tick coming from your engine compartment, you can hear it with the hood closed, but it's very, very noticeable if you pop the hood. The tick varies in speed with engine speed, and what it is one of two things, or sometimes both. I had both. It's a coil pack damaged for the EHT for the spark plugs, or a compromised HT lead from the coil pack to the spark plugs, and it means that the HT is shorted out to the engine block, and you get this tick 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 tick, which is actually a spark, which is going from the EHT lead to ground. And if you're very, very unlucky and you've got a petrol leak somewhere, it could cause a fire. So it's very dangerous too. Just have a listen out for that. Okay guys, I've waffled on enough. I hope this was interesting. I will put a link to this document, which is very interesting and helpful, in a pinned comment, because good old YouTube won't let me put it where it should go. All of this is very, very interesting stuff, and without reading this and understanding it, you won't really know how your car's cooling system operates. It is counterintuitive, to say the least. Okay guys, thanks very much for watching. Bye.